Hey guys, so today we're going to be summoning on this banner, and when I say today, this video was taken several days ago now. So I'm back from vacation, and I did release my video on 21, the Zenkai Blue 21, and these are summons that I screen recorded as soon as the banner dropped. And I think this is going to end up probably being the largest summoning video on YouTube for Legends. It's over 215,000 crystals worth of summons. So quite a lot of summons. I was not, I guess, sober when I did this. So I don't think I would have gone as deep if I was, I guess, aware of what I was doing, or more aware of what I was doing. It's fine. We did get a bunch of good stuff in this video. Did pull a lot of merge Zamasus, as you'll see throughout this, but this is, again, 3 times speed. I did end up skipping through most of these summons. That's why it's not as long, but, you know, 3 times speed, the thing's still over like 30 minutes long. So it's quite a long video, but this is what we're going to have to deal with. I don't feel comfortable really speeding it up past 3 times, because once you get to like 4 times speed, it gets like almost, you can't really tell what's going on, and I just don't think that's good to watch. So what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to just have this going on in the background, and I'm going to go through the 3 new units, because I wasn't able to do my traditional breakdown video because I was away. So I'm going to go through the units, and I'm just going to point out notable things about them that I really like what they did with them. And we'll sort of talk about the units, and then after that we'll just let the rest of the video play out. So I have the units pulled up in front of me. You guys aren't going to be able to see it because the summons are playing, but I guess we'll go through these units right now. So first we have Android 21 Zenkai, which was the only unit of the 3 so far that I've actually been able to use. And I really like her a lot. I feel like they did enough to make her very, very good. Honestly, like, the fact that she even is getting a Zenkai is enough to make her viable, just because of the fact that she's on 3 teams that really needed a blue unit. Girls, androids, and then regen. I've only used her so far on the Android team, which is what my video was about with her. But obviously her alongside Android 18 makes for a ridiculous combination, because she does end up giving a huge buff to Android 18. Take a look at her first unique ability. She gives 20% of damage inflicted by allies for 20 counts when this character enters the battlefield. So she enters the battlefield, and then, you know, typically you like to stay in for at least 1 combo with the unit, and the fact that she also gains a key on switch out is big, because that did not exist prior to her getting a Zenkai. So you switch in, you do a combo, and then you switch out. That gives 20% damage inflicted to all allies, no matter what tag they're on. 25 key as well. And then for girls units, they get 30% additional damage inflicted for 15 timer counts. So think about what Android 18 is getting from this. She's getting 20% damage, plus 30% damage, plus 25 key. And that's not all, because she's also an android. So she's also getting a 20 cost reduction to her special move for 15 counts. So it's just a lot going on there for Android 18, as if Android 18 needed even more of a buff. Because the thing with Android 18 is Android 18 does get key when she switches in, because she gets that key back whenever she's faced with an opponent, which technically means when she switches in. So on top of the key that she's getting from her own kit, she's getting this additional 25 key as well, which is just crazy, because she's also getting card draw speed. So she's going to be drawing cards. She's going to be, you know, drawing a green card as well on switching, which means she's going to be able to combo, you know, off of a blast card very well, because she can change all of her blasts to strike cards. So, like, the synergy between these 2 units, I think, was very deliberately planned out to be like this, and they have to know how good this is. And then the only other really, really notable thing that she gets is, other than her death, I guess, sort of buffs, is the fact that she gets card draw speed, which is actually one of the things that I mentioned I would really like to see this unit receive once she gets her Zenkai Awakening. Because these support units, right? So this is interesting, because I just talked about the 20% buff she gets for all of her allies when she switches in. So you really have an option with this, because switching in, it's a little bit counterintuitive, because you buff your allies while switching in, but you just switched in, so you don't want to immediately then switch out. So you can immediately switch out if you want to make use of that 20% damage buff immediately, or you can choose to stay in and combo for a long period of time, because she has access to that unconditional card draw speed. Because for the first 60 counts, she gets just card draw speed for just that's it. She just gets card draw speed. So as long as it's the first 60 counts, she will get card draw speed. So I guess it's kind of imperative to remember that if it's, you know, below 120 counts remaining in the fight, she will no longer have access to that. But I mean, if you're running a team with Android 18 and this Android 21 Zenkai unit, odds are the fight is going to be pretty much over by the time you get to that point. So I think, you know, the addition of card draw speed really gives her options about how you can play with this unit. I really like that a lot. Other than that, not really any super notable changes, but I think that's definitely sufficient to make this unit very, very viable on all of her teams, because again, she does provide specific buffs for all of the teams that she's on. Again, regen gets 50% extra key recovery, as well as an extra 15% damage inflicted buff in her third unique ability, but that is also only for the first 60 counts. And then actually I forgot to mention this, but androids in her third unique ability as well also gets an extra 20% of special move damage inflicted. So that's also another buff for Android 18 as well. So that's really what I have to say about Zenkai Blue 21. We'll move on to Green 21. So Green 21 and the LF feature Gohan is... those are two units that I haven't actually gotten to test out myself just yet. I've seen some videos on them. They seem very, very good, and don't really seem overly broken, but I think if I had to rank which one I thought was better, I think Android 21 definitely, to me, seems like she could have a slight edge over Future Gohan. Just, you know, given the fact that she's not an LF unit and much easier to pull, you're going to naturally have her at a higher star level than Future Gohan. But they both seem pretty good to me, and I like the design direction they're taking these units in. Like, I guess they're not making them like, you know, when Vegito Blue came out, he was like the best unit by far, undisputed. And I think they stopped really doing that, which is good. I don't think they should keep doing the thing where, you know, every new LF just has to one-up every other unit in the game. So let's go and talk about Android 21. Let me just go quickly open her kit right here. She does a lot. She really does. The first thing to note is that, to me, you know, upon initially seeing her kit and upon seeing other people use her in PvP, to me, she really feels like a blast version of Kefla. And what I mean by that is she really feels like, you know, you switch in with her and you just start comboing. And she changes all of her strikes to blast. You know, she has an ultimate that does a lot of damage, and you can power up that ultimate. So it's sort of like, I guess, a mixture of a blast version of Kefla, as well as like a little bit of green transforming Goku Black, because the green transforming Goku Black also has a very, very powerful green card. We'll actually take a look at our green card first, because I feel like it's honestly one of the better green cards in the game. It's Solar Flare. The following effects occur on hit. So it inflicts enemies with Flash, which is basically like the incapacitation effect. You know, if you've used any of the Krillins that have Solar Flare, it's literally the same effect. Once you actually use the Solar Flare, she draws a special move arts card next, activates twice. This is on hit, so all these effects are on hit. So she draws a blue card, which happens twice. She restores her own ki by 50, and she increases damage dealt by allies for 20 timer counts by 15%. So that is actually quite a decent support ability there. But yeah, that's one of the more powerful green cards in the game. The only thing to note about that is I would say that you need to be aware and remember in your head, you know, which enemies are you fighting that are immune to these sorts of effects like Flash, because this green card, it's still good if you don't even get the Flash off and the enemy's immune to it. I still think it's worth using, but you have to remember that you can't just like stall for like a second after you use it. But you know, it's a very, very, very powerful green card. All right, so that's her green card, and I guess we'll just go through what else she can do. So her first unique ability is applies the following effect to self when this character enters the battlefield. Changes strike arts to blast arts cards, which is again what I was talking about earlier with sort of comparing her to Kefla. She gets 60% of damage inflicted, cannot be stacked, reduces damage received by 30% for 15 counts. I think, okay, so I've said in the past that, like, you know, I don't really like these sort of like small damage reduction buffs that units get, where I think it was Metal Cooler, where he was like, yeah, Metal Cooler gets like 20% damage, reduced damage received for like 10 counts or something when he switches in, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But I think 30% is an amount where you're starting to actually feel the effects of the damage reduction. And it starts to become relatively significant, because if you're getting comboed by a type neutral enemy, you know, 30% extra damage can actually feel significant to you. And if you're getting combo, I don't know, so this unit's green. I guess if you're getting comboed by someone like Yellow 18, right? Let's just say Zenkai 18 is who you're fighting against, or even Red Gohan, I would say. And yeah, this unit is a regen unit, so Gohan's going to destroy her nonetheless. But the 30% damage reduction actually is going to be relatively important, I think, because it's going to allow you to not get one comboed, I think, by a lot of those combos from those super top tier units that are neutral, but still do a ton of damage to those neutral types anyway. And then she also gets -5 to blast arts cost, which again is sort of like Kefla. And then the interesting thing here is I really like this design too. Is she gets 10% to blast damage inflicted every time another battle member is hit with an enemy strike, blast, or special move arts. So this reminds me of two other units. This reminds me of the LF Green Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and technically the Revival / Transforming Cell. Because the way that those units work is they have their sub count reduced every time the currently switched in opponent, or the currently switched in ally takes damage, or I guess takes an arts card. And this is that same type of effect, but instead of reducing her sub count, it's giving her a buff. So she's getting 10% of blast damage inflicted. So that's kind of, I guess also it's kind of like Rage Trunks' ability, because Rage Trunks I think actually has like almost an identical ability to this. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Because Rage Trunks does get stronger every time an ally takes damage. Yeah, so here it is. So part of his unique ability for Rage Trunks is 20% damage inflicted for 20 counts every time another battle member is hit with an enemy strike, blast, or special move arts attack. So yeah, it is basically exactly like Rage Trunks. The only thing to mention is that this does not have a timer restriction. So she's going to be getting these buffs, but they're permanent, and they go up to 50%. So it's only going to take allies getting hit by 5 of these for her to get to her max potential. So once you have this fully stacked up, she has 110% damage inflicted. Well, actually, no, it's only blast attack. So she's getting 110% to blast damage inflicted, just permanent, cannot be canceled. And then on top of that, everything else she's doing is 60% damage inflicted. So that's already pretty good. And then her second unique ability is receives 0 damage when changing cover for the first time. This is exactly identical to the instant transmission, the green instant transmission Goku's save ability. So it's basically cover rescue. And then she also does grant an extra charge to that special cover change ability when she uses her main ability. So I guess it's sort of also like the Green Ultimate Gohan in a way as well. But then she also gets a +2 to sub count when activated, because that would just be ridiculous if you can just use it, have the same sub count, use your main ability, and then switch out. And then she also applies the following effects to self when at least one allied character is defeated. She gets an extra 30% damage inflicted, so more damage. And then she also shortens substitution count by 2, which is pretty powerful because once you're down to 2 people on your team, it's going to be a lot harder to abuse those switch outs to regain your vanish. So any sort of switch count reduction is really, really powerful in that scenario. And then finally, her main ability. I feel like this is the ability that really rounds out her kit fully. Is draws the Ultimate Arts card, Excellent Buffet next, restores own health by 25% and ki by 60. So already, that is, I would say, a pretty respectable main ability. But then she also gets card draw speed for 30 counts. So this actually does remind me a little bit of Jiren's main ability, because Jiren's main ability is doing something very similar, where not only is he getting health and ki restoration, but he's also drawing the ult and getting card draw speed. Because Jiren's main ability is the exact same. He's getting health by 20%, ki by 40, drawing the ultimate, getting card draw speed for by 1 level for 30 timer counts, which is the same. But Jiren also gets 30% to strike damage for 30 counts. But instead of that, for Android 21 is getting the extra charge to her special cover change ability. So very, very similar main abilities between those two units, and I think it's a very, very powerful main ability. And then lastly, we could talk about her ultimate very quickly, because there's one thing I really want to talk about here. The ability gets different buffs depending on how many battle members are left alive. So again, this unit is really based around having one member on your team dead, which is not the worst thing ever. I guess we can sort of talk about the thing that I want to say here is, once you get down to 2 or 1 battle members, when you pop her ultimate, she inflicts no switching for 3 counts. And this is very reminiscent of the LF Green Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, which I think to this day is a viable unit to use. And one of the main reasons for that is the fact that he does inflict no switching on his ultimate. Like, that is such a powerful ability. If you can get a blue unit caught in a combo by even another unit, you can switch into this ult and pop it and use it, and they're pretty much dead. Because she also gets, depending on the battle members left, 2 members left alive, she gets 50% ultimate damage, and then if she's the last one left alive, she gets 70%. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And then in addition to that, she also has a very interesting effect on her blast card, and this is just on the blast card itself. This is not like a card that she holds. This is every time she uses a blast card. She gets 15% to special move damage for 15 timer counts upon activation. So the fact that she changes all of her strikes to blast when she switches in, like, guarantees you're going to be able to rack this up very quickly, and obviously it's going to make the blue card do a ton of damage if you can get that in there. So overall, I think this character is very well designed. I really like the direction they went with her, and I'm going to have a lot of fun using her in PvP, because that will be an upcoming video very soon. And last but not least, we'll talk about the future Gohan here. So the future Gohan, he's good. I think initially upon seeing him again, I haven't actually gotten to test him out yet. I think today is when I'll record the video for him. So that one should be going up either today or tomorrow. Upon looking at his kit initially, I would say, and I actually did mention this on my community tab when these kits were first revealed, and I think it still holds true. To me, he does seem like he could be better than Gogeta Blue. But I don't know if I would go as far as to say he's better than UI Goku or Broly. I think Broly is pretty much the best LF that has released in the past, month or so, once we've had this Legends Festival or whatever the celebration's name has been going on for. I do think Broly probably is the best LF in the game. I would say he probably is the best LF in the game, yeah. UI Goku is also up there as well, but this Gohan could, depending on how much I enjoy playing with him and how much he feels powerful, how powerful he feels to me, he could also be up in that same tier as well. But some few things that I like to see from this guy is the fact that he has type nullification, his first unique ability. He gets 2 different sorts of effects if there is a defeated battle member. So a similar sort of style of playstyle, a similar playstyle to the Green 21 that we just talked about. The fact that he gets buffs depending on if there is a defeated ally. So he gets he nullifies unfavorable element factor for 15 counts, which activates twice if there is a defeated battle member. And then he also draws a green card, which activates twice as well. And this is interesting because I feel like they learned their lesson a little bit from their release of Purple Broly back in the day, because Purple Broly would just get nullifies unfavorable element factor every time he switched in, without there being like a condition of there being a member being dead on his team, which was a problem back in the day, because they would release like really good yellow units and Broly would still be stomping people. Like, Yellow Cell was probably the best unit in the game when he came out, alongside LF Gohan. And Yellow Cell did not really stop Broly from being ridiculously powerful. And that was like 5 months, or 4 or 5 months after that Broly released. So I think they realized how powerful of an effect this, element factor nullification ability is. And that's why they sort of put that behind a gate, which I'm not super opposed to, because it is a very powerful effect. And then the rest of this unique ability is the following effects occur when this character enters the battlefield. He gets 25% of damage inflicted by allies for 15 counts. So he's also providing a support ability, which is pretty powerful. But again, this is sort of a similar ability to the Green 21 that we just talked about, because the Blue 21, because he's providing a support ability to his allies when he switches in. And then you couple that with the fact that, which we'll get to later, is he also gets card draw speed. Like, you kind of have that option. Do you want to switch out early, or do you want to keep comboing with this unit? So it's a little bit of a weird design choice, I feel like, in that regard, but it also opens up different avenues of playstyles that you can make use of for this unit. And then on top of that, he also gets 45% damage inflicted, cannot be canceled, up to 90%. So, the second time you switch in with him, he's going to be at 90% damage inflicted, which cannot be canceled, which is a pretty high amount. And then he gets unconditional card draw speed by 1 level, which is just always going to be there and cannot be stacked. So that is the one thing I saw when this guy first came out that made me go like, okay, like, why didn't they just give this to Blue Gogeta? I don't know. It's a mystery to me why they didn't just give Gogeta card draw speed, because that's all he needs to become really, really good. So I don't know. But his second unique ability is the following effects occur when changing cover: nullifies enemies' blast arts attacks, and then randomly destroys 2 enemy cards. So this is sort of a weird cover change ability, because I've seen this in action a few times, and what it feels like is Super 17's key, I guess, blast attack absorption ability, because it doesn't knock the opponent back even at close range, but it does completely stop their attack from even doing any damage, and then it also, again, randomly destroys 2 of your cards. So it's not like crazy good. It's not like, you know, Gogeta's cover change or Broly's cover change, where they, you know, take no damage and then they send you back and then you can combo into it, because you can't really combo into this except within certain circumstances, which I'm not going to get into in this video. But again, it is very similar to Super 17's blast absorption ability. And then the following effects occur after enemy attack is over. He gets 25% damage inflicted by allies for 20 counts, so that is another support ability. And then he reduces damage received by 30%, which activates once. So he's getting that from being attacked. So, you know, if they, again, this sort of language they use after enemy attack is over means any sort of attack ever. A tap blast, a tap attack, you know, rising rush. These are things that are all going to activate this effect right here. And it's a very powerful effect, because if you can continuously buff your allies with this over and over and over again, it's gonna add up. So, and then last but not least, he also gets endurance. And not only is this endurance, but it's also like he restores his own health to 40% when health reaches 0, which is not insignificant, because if we take a look at someone like Zenkai Kid Goku also received endurance, you know, when he got his Zenkai Awakening, but his health only restores to 20% when it reaches 0. So this guy's endurance is like a much more potent effect than the other units that have had this, I feel like, up until this point. So that's interesting. And then the last thing to note about like his basic kit is the fact that he gets, this is just on his strike card, he gets 10% Vanish Gauge Restoration upon activation of a strike card. So I feel like this is one of the only units in the game that really, really benefits a lot from you stacking a bunch of strike cards in your deck. Because if you're able to, you know, couple this with card draw speed, because again, he gets unconditional card draw speed upon switching in. If you get like a perfect Vanish with this unit, and you have a ton of strike cards in your deck, or you have an ability that another unit has to change blast cards to strike cards, then this guy's going to be able to basically fully restore his Vanishing Gauge instantly if you sidestep and keep using strike cards, because 10%, well, let's just assume you have 4 strike cards in your hand, that in combination with sidestep means you're pretty much going to be almost back to full Vanishing Gauge once your combo's over. So a very, very powerful effect there. Special move is the Kamehameha, which deals massive damage, 20% to damage inflicted for 15 counts upon activations. That's good, because it's going to activate when you use the ability. And then this also seals enemy strike cards for 5 counts, which 5 counts is not super long, but it's kind of useful. His green card is interesting because, again, he draws the green card 2 times once an ally is defeated. Restores his own key by 50, which is good. And then it nullifies own attribute downgraded and abnormal effects for 20 counts. Reduces the next damage sustained by 30%. And then it also increases damage inflicted by 20% for 20 counts. So the damage reduction is important, I think, because, you know, that in combination with the effect that he gets upon receiving his first attack in the fight also gives him 30%. So that's going to be a total of 60% damage reduction, which is very, very important considering he also has endurance. So this guy's actually very tanky. And his ultimate effect is, the one interesting thing about this, I guess, is the fact that it deals massive damage instead of supreme damage. I think LF Broly's ultimate also does massive and not supreme damage, so it's a little bit, I guess, ambiguous at this point, when depending on how they determine which units get the supreme modifier in their ultimate. I guess it's like only ultra hype units or something, because up to this point only UI Goku, Vegito Blue, and Gogeta Blue have gotten that supreme multiplier. So we'll see how they handle that in the future, but obviously this ultimate skill does like the typical nullify enemy own health when it reaches 0, so it nullifies endurance. It deals 40% additional ultimate damage for 3 counts, which is, typical, except I think it's normally 50. But then in addition to that, if own health is 50% or below, it deals an additional 20% damage. So it can deal up to an additional 60% to ultimate damage, as well as have blast armor. So that is pretty much what we have going on with Future Gohan. In terms of Z ability, he does have this sort of new age ability where he's buffing Future or Hybrid Saiyans, base, strike, attack, and defense. And if you're a character that's in both the Future and Hybrid Saiyans tags, you're getting an additional buff to blast defense at 6 stars. So I do really like that setup, though. I think they did a good job with designing that type of Z ability, even though it takes, pulling the unit, what is that, 4 times to get that, to get him to 6-star and get that buff, which is not really plausible for most players. But overall, I really do like the direction they went in for these characters specifically. I've only up until this point used the blue Zenkai 21, so can't really comment too heavily on the other two, but just looking at their kits right now and what I've experienced in PvP and through videos that people have uploaded, they both seem like they're very, very good. And in terms of if I would recommend summoning on this banner specifically, as the video continues going through all these summons that I'm skipping and stuff, it's tough to say. If you're a Future player and you have a decent Future team, I would say it's worth considering. But if you're someone who really enjoys androids, maybe I would say this is probably a banner you should summon on, because realistically, how often are they going to release android units? Probably not that often. So the fact that they released this green 21 on this banner is pretty enticing for a lot of android players. And I would say it probably is worth summoning on this banner in that case if you're an android main or if you really like using the android team. And then I guess the same thing with the girls team. If you're like a player that's really invested in the girls team, this is definitely a banner that's worth your crystals to summon on. So I would say go ahead if that's your prerogative. But I would also highly suggest against chasing LFs. So even if you're a Future player and you're maybe like more on the verge of a free-to-play player or someone who spends very little in this game, again, not advised to summon or chase for LFs, so do so at your own risk. But that's pretty much everything I have to say here. I will let you guys enjoy the rest of these summons that I've done, and I will see you guys all in the next one.
おめえはオラに勝てねえ。おめえをぶった。おめえを。おめえをぶった。おめえを。オラが。おめえはオラに勝てねえ。オラが。おめえ。オラ。おめえ。オラ。おめえは。オラが。おめえをぶっ倒す。おめえをぶっ倒す。オラが。やる。なら。私だ。おめえはオラに勝てねえ。オラが。オラ。くそ。やる。マミ。さあ、あっちだ。オラ。おめえをぶっ倒す。おめえはオラに勝てねえ。オラを勝ったな。オラが。オラが来た。おめえをぶっ倒す。オラが。さあ、見てくよ。おめえ。俺が終わらせる。おめえをぶっ倒す。オラが。おめえはオラに勝てねえ。俺が終わらせる。オラが行くな。俺が怒ったな。オラが。よろしくお願い。おめえをぶっ倒す。さあ。